if the tabernacle at Life Center, a spiritual community, was ever shut down, or if they lost their tax exempt status, or what ended up happening to them. So let's see here if I can find a quick story about it. No, I can't. The only story I find is this one. So who knows what happened to them? I'll look it up and maybe figure it out later. But I did think that was a pretty clever Florida story, right? It's a nightclub that was a church.
What was the city? Was it Palm Beach?
Panama City.
Oh, Panama City. I wonder if that was like the spring break. Like Florida cities were like, at first they started trying to market to spring breakers to go there to Florida. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh, we're tired of this. So they like tried to discourage people going. Now they come out here to Las Vegas, like spring breakers.
Oh yeah, they totally do. They come here too. Like we had an uproar on the beach many years ago, but inadvertently it led to them banning booze on the beach out here because it was spring break like 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. So, but I don't know if Panama City is in the group of cities that had the backlash to the spring break marketing, or if they're just still like fully embracing their kind of, Florida ways. Yeah. Being Panama City. The Vice article that I read about this says Panama City Beach is one of those spring breaky areas in the Panhandle where college students go to drink beer out of plastic cups, listen to Zed, expose their nipples in public, and see the exposed nipples of others.
That's pretty good, actually.
It's good. I do like Vice every once in a while. It's pretty fun. So that's our Florida man story, which means we're getting right into the episode now. So, initial thoughts on the episode. What'd you think?
It was solid. I think it's probably one of the better episodes of the season. It certainly wasn't as bad, or bad being relative, as the previous episode. It was actually, yeah. So yeah, it's fine. I do like, like that scene at the very beginning, what we're probably going to talk about, where Raylan is kind of like, oh, he thought this female was interested in.
Yeah, that's great because it happens pre-credits, so it happens before the credits even roll. Raylan's sitting at a bar drinking. He's approached by a woman. They have a little conversation. She kind of comes onto him a little bit. He says, "Hey, why don't you come to Miami with me?" And she's like, "It's $1,000 a day, but for you, I'll make it $500."
Which is actually a pretty good bargain.
That's
right?
a great compliment. I mean, she was very, very attractive. I would say she was a very good-looking person, and so $500 a night with her is pretty good.
I mean, if we look at who was that politician who got caught with the prostitute on the boat? Like, remember that from like maybe 20 years ago or something like that?
On the boat?
Yeah,
not Elliot Spitzer.
I think it was Elliot Spitzer.
Was it Elliot Spitzer? I don't remember a boat there, but I remember that
because all the sex workers all have the politicians on their
like politician with a sex worker on a boat. It could literally be anything. I think it was Nancy Pelosi is actually what I heard. It was
Nancy Pelosi. So I like. Do you remember that picture from a few months back about like with her in her rack?
Yes, I do, because she was in Europe or something.
She was in Europe, or like maybe on spring break for all we know.
Yeah, I think she was going to a wedding or something. But yes, I do remember that. Yeah, and like her giant mom tits.
Well, I mean, she's reminded me of so much of Jessica Walter, Nancy Pelosi, so like
in those photos, she really looks like her too. It's really something.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet she said some of the things that Lucille Bluth said on Arrested Development. She said them, I promise.
Say goodbye to these.
What can a gallon of milk cost? $10?
Yeah. Oh man, Arrested Development.
So yeah, it's always great. I always love that little moment where the good impossibly good-looking man gets his comeuppance because the woman hitting on him is a hooker. I do. That's a trope. It happens a lot in films and TV shows, but I like it. Yeah. It makes me good every time for us normal-looking guys out there. We don't get discounts.
Who among us has never been approached by a prostitute?
That's right. Yeah. Especially anyone who spends a little bit of time in Vegas. You're going to get approached by a prostitute.
Remember that time we were like, I think it was just like walking into the casino or whatever. And that girl, like, just, well, that's always very subtle, right?
Yes.
So they'll reach out with their hand or whatever.
Yeah. They'll like grab your hand when you're walking by or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the dirty little secret, kids. If you go to Vegas and there's a woman walking by herself or with one other woman and she's making a lot of eye contact, it's not because she likes you. She's looking to make a business transaction.
And if she has a big purse, that's a big bag.
Oh, is that right?
That's the other, because they carry the things.
It makes sense, right? Yeah, it makes a ton of sense because you wouldn't have, if you're a regular, a normie going out in Vegas, you're going to take the smallest possible bag you can because you don't want to schlep it around with you. Yep. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Look for big bags and a lot of eye contact, especially in the spaces like between hotels. Yeah. Oh yeah.
What did I see this? Oh, I saw this. I gotta look it up. There was this story talking about discarded sex toys, like that they find in hotel rooms out here, and there's like, like because people are on the down low.
Of course,
right?
Sure, yeah. They're having an affair or whatever. They can't take that dildo that they bought at the Love Store home with them.
They can't take Black Beauty.
They can't take the Impaler on an airplane.
The Impaler. I do remember one time I was in it was here in Las Vegas. I was flying out to like Texas or Maine or something like that. And it was like it was a Sunday night. And the woman who was in front of me had exactly that though. She didn't get rid of her toy. Very attractive female, right? But she saw, I wonder if I'm going to get in trouble. Like I could hear her talking.
Well, you see these stories that happens on a semi-regular basis. If you code your Google alert for it, you'll see the stories. It's a regular thing that happens that they're on and buzzing in luggage, and they think it's a bomb. Like they're like searching the bag and clearing out the airport and all this stuff. It happens a lot.
There has to be some research on that. On the incidents, yeah.
Our Puritan society just can't handle it.
The Impaler, I like that.
The Impaler. Yeah. So we open up this episode with Boyd's heroine has successfully made it into the U.S. and Carl, Dewey, and Danny are loading cars on tow trucks. We find out later from Miller and Raylan that this is a common sort of way to transport drugs once you get them into the United States. You stash them in a car, you hook the car up on a tow truck, and then you tow the car. And in theory, that gives the driver of the tow truck plausible deniability for what's in the car. They're like, hey, look, somebody called me to come and pick up the car. I can't be held accountable for what's in it, right? That's the theory, at least.
Yeah.
Apparently, tale as old as time, and the cops are well aware of it. I do love that the criminals think that they're pulling one over on everybody, and the cops are like, "Oh yeah, this is a thing that's been being done forever." Oldie but a goodie. But so Carl, Dewey, and Danny are loading cars up on tow trucks, and Carl takes one, and Danny and Dewey take the other because Carl refuses to ride with Dewey because he stinks. And to be fair, he probably does. Like, they've been in Mexico and getting back to the U.S. for like 2 days. He hasn't showered. He's Dewey Crow, so he probably doesn't smell real good to begin with. He was in the back of a truck with a bunch of corpses and fish and heroin. He probably smells really, really terrible. But to be fair, Carl also probably smells terrible, and Danny definitely smells terrible. Maybe not as terrible as Dewey, but, it's a little bit unfair to our boy Dewey there.
Wow.
But Danny and Dewey end up in one of the trucks, and Carl ends up in the other. And as they're on their way back to Harlan, Boyd and Daryl are at Johnny's bar, and they're having a little bit of a chat about the future. And I have a clip of that.
Well, I like the way you handle yourself, Boyd. I know when a man is worth the shit, and you are. So I want to tell you this because I don't want no secrets between us, full disclosure and shit.
Well, let me guess. Hot Rod's boys didn't pull no weapons on you? Awfully convenient you had a way over the border all cocked and ready to go.
Man, you don't miss a trick, man. Shit. Well, we was just trying to make ourselves useful,
Well, in the process, Daryl, you made yourself a liar.
But you an honest man, Boyd? A full-blown honest man? That why you pointing that gun at me from underneath that desk? Here it is. I understand how you feel that way, Boyd, but you gotta admit we did deliver.
Well, it seems to me that heroin is still 1,000 miles away from being in my possession, which means you ain't delivered shit yet.
Well, about that, it would be a terrible shame if my brother Danny accidentally made a wrong turn with one of them trucks. And neither you, nor me, nor your partners want that.
So what is it that you do want, Daryl Crowe Jr.?
I just want to be part of the goddamn family, Boyd.
He keeps saying that. And Boyd keeps telling him, hey, look, I've killed my family. Are you sure you want to be part of the family?
I think it's the Insane Clown Posse guys who they all shout that, right? We're family, and whatever.
Yeah.
We're family.
Yeah. Them and the Fast and Furious guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so first of all, besides the fact that Daryl's accent changes 3 times in that 90-second clip, I feel like Michael Rappaport is not giving Walton Goggins much to work with here, because there's that scene where Boyd's holding the gun on Daryl, and Daryl calls him out on it and says, oh, you're holding that gun under the desk at me. And Boyd does this weird laugh thing that's sort of not returned and then never kind of acknowledged. It's very strange. I don't know. It's just a very kind of strangely blocked scene. The back and forth, there's not a lot of chemistry there. Not super pleased with kind of that scene in and of itself. But what we find out is that Daryl and the Crowes are threatening to steal half of Boyd's heroin unless he gives them what they want.
Yep.
What we find out later is that what he wants is 20%. So
that's
asking a little much.
That's a lot, right? I mean, nobody is on. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess you ask for more than you actually.
I suppose. Yeah, you don't start with your minimum, I suppose, but at the same time, man, that seems like a lot. Anyway, so Boyd and Daryl decide they need to have a conversation with Boyd's other partners because the circumstances have changed. So, then of course we have Raylan drinking in the bar with the sex worker, who gives him the good-looking dude discount. When he gets back into his car, though, we see that he has a forensics report from Mexico, and Johnny Crowder, well, half of Johnny Crowder's face is pictured among the dead, and so we kind of figure out that he's booking a trip to Memphis, so we kind of figure out that he's going after the Crowders, the Crowes, and Hot Rod.
Yeah. Yep.
So he meets up with Agent Miller, who is Eric Roberts, for Hot Rod's location, tells them that Hot Rod's guys got killed in Mexico. Miller refuses to help. Raylan threatens to call the locals and the FBI or whoever will help him. And Miller kind of begrudgingly agrees to take him out. We find out later that this is because Hot Rod is a confidential informant for Miller. Miller lets him operate. Hot Rod gives him info on